Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa. Thank you very much for joining me this episode, and today I'm going to be looking at, or should I say we are going to be looking at, the Ferrari SF70-H. Now, before I continue, I'd like to say first of all, thank you very much for 2,000 subscribers. It really means a lot to me, and I'd also like to say hello to a couple of old friends.
Yep, we are back.
Yes, we are.
So,
a one-off.
Well, maybe a two.
Oh yeah, two.
Maybe
yeah,
two,
yeah.
considering we're recording another video directly after this, which you're going to see, which will be the next episode. But for this one, we're going to be talking about this car in particular. So the SF70-H, this year's Ferrari Formula 1 car. Quite different to see a modern Formula 1 car or a current Formula 1 car in anything other than a Codemasters game.
Yeah, I mean, the first things first is the name change, because they normally have the 16H. According to the, and obviously they've gone for the 70, for the 70th anniversary.
Yeah, 70th anniversary of Scuderia Ferrari. Ferrari, it's not a very old team. Well, when you say not very old, Ferrari itself is not very old when you think about it, considering the prestige it has.
Yeah. But 70 years is pretty old.
70 years in F1.
No, Ferrari.
Overall.
That actually is not old.
No, it's not so... I think this is actually the 63rd Formula 1 car for Ferrari. Wow. But, if you think about how old is the likes of Ford.
Yeah, well, that's not a good example.
Mercedes?
Yeah. Okay.
How old is Mercedes? 1890s. Ford, 1900s, early 1900s. And Ferrari, it took a while. So it's really odd to have, even Daimler, you're talking about the 1890s, so you're talking about Jaguar and the likes of them going all the way back, having historic, that sort of history. But there we go, that's Ferrari. So SF70H. Interesting you also mentioned the name, because they used to have a different naming convention. They used to have what the displacement of the engine was, and then the number of cylinders.
Right.
For example, the 2.4 litre V8.
Yeah.
So they used to have that as well.
I'm actually curious as to what SF70H
stands for.
Yeah.
Scuderia Ferrari 70th year hybrid.
Ah.
That's what
makes sense.
Yeah.
Why do you think they left the V6 bit off?
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, just thinking about it, what would this be? This would be the Ferrari 166 if they were using that convention.
Yeah.
That sounds like, first of all, that sounds like an Alfa Romeo. Remember the 166 Alfa Romeo?
Yeah.
That we tested? That was a long time ago. The Dream Pack.
Before you carry on, shall we actually tell the viewers where we've actually been?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
You go first.
I'll go first. Well, I've decided to go into doing my masters now, and start a family. So yeah, that's where I've been.
Boy, do you sound old.
Yeah, I am old.
Gee, wow, he sounds old. What did you do recently?
Oh yeah, I just got married, and I've also gone into cybersecurity, as pretty much the same field as my colleague here,
who still hasn't worked out a nickname after 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyone out there, give me a nickname?
Well, actually, no, they did give you a nickname, actually, in the comments. You were known as the one with the deep voice.
Yeah, or gruffy voice, as I remember. I don't like that one. But
wonder why.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to this car. So we're going to be going through the specs and then what we think of the car. So it is obviously, as we mentioned, a V6 engine. This is a 1.6 litre 90-degree V6 with a turbocharger, single turbocharger, maximum 3.5 bar. Plus it had an electrical unit, so you had an ERS system, both heat and kinetic, so KERS system, and they couldn't call it a HERS system, so it's all ERS system.
It sounds horrible.
Yeah, compared to the V10.
Horrible. I can remember complaining about this the year before and the year before that, and please, can we have the old noise back?
I'll be honest, ever since the V10 engines went, I think a lot of people lost interest in Formula 1.
No, I wouldn't say a lot of people lost interest, but
the V8 engines were alright.
Yeah.
I think it was just, I don't know, there's something to be said about the way the Formula 1 goes, the way the FIA think about things, and it's not brilliant.
I think I heard a rumour the other day saying that they might be bringing the V10s back.
Well, apparently there may be a V8 on the card. There may be in 2021. It's very, very slim, but with the likes of I think Porsche, Aston Martin, Cosworth are considering it again. Audi, and there are a number of companies considering going back to Formula One. Even BMW considering.
Is it because of the new owners of F1 then?
I really don't know. I mean, they want to improve F1, but that's a completely separate subject. We really should focus on this car at hand. Redline, 15,000 RPM, which again is pretty low, which means that I think the maximum power comes in at around 12,000 RPM, which is higher than previous 3 years, because that was at 10,000 or something like that. But it does produce 760 brake horsepower on the engine, and then with the ERS unit, you get another... I think about 150, 160, which actually, the actual ERS unit can have revs of up to 50,000 RPM. So that's, I mean, just a little bit of tidbit of information. Probably doesn't mean much to anyone who isn't really into engineering and stuff, but 50,000 RPM, you know, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
That is pretty fast.
And then, well, I'm looking at the weight of this, just at 728 kg with the driver and the fuel. So what does that then? What are we assuming about 600?
Well, because the fuel would be 105 kilos of fuel is what you put on these cars. Yeah, 100. We always measure it in fuel in weight as opposed to liters. I know when we fill up our cars, we measure in liters, or in America, gallons. But with fuel, weight is a more consistent figure than displacement because of temperature and pressure. The actual displacement of it would change, so they work by weight because the weight's not going to change. So they say 105 kilos of fuel, which is up 5 kilos from the previous year. So take away 105 from that, and you got what, 623? 623 kilos. Take away 70 to 75 kilos for the driver, so you're looking at about 550.
I thought the drivers would be quite light.
Yeah, 70. I think their limit is actually 75 for the taller drivers. I think the lightest driver is 62 kilos, 60 kilos, something like that. But yeah, rear-wheel drive, as you always get, 8 gears. And what else is there really to say about this car? I suppose the chassis, carbon fiber honeycomb composite, which is now standard, but of course 15-20 years ago it wasn't really standard, it was new.
Which is where all the weight saving is gone.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been here for a while, but looking at the carbon fiber honeycomb, what's the difference between honeycomb and the, what was it, monocoque or something?
Well, no, it's actually a monocoque, but the honeycomb is actually a shape of the carbon fiber. So if you think about if you think about a honeycomb of, in a hive, a beehive, that shape is what they do for the carbon fiber. That sort of lattice, it's like a honeycomb lattice. It means that you've got lightness, because you have holes everywhere, and those holes mean no material. No material means saving weight, but
it's still got strength.
It's still got the strength because of the strength. I mean, if you look at a beehive, we've all seen beehives. How strong is a beehive? That's true, right? But how light is it? When you pick up a beehive, I mean, I don't know whether any of us have actually picked up a beehive. We may have picked up.
I don't think we'd be here today.
I have. Obviously an abandoned one, but they're so light. They weigh like in grams. You're actually measuring it in grams, but they seem so strong and so large. That's a similar case here. Interesting is the wheels.
I was just going to talk about that.
13-inch wheels by Oz Racing standard. Again, light magnesium alloy, but I'm assuming it's the tyres that you're quite...
The tyres, 405. Wow.
For the rears. 405.
Why is that?
I thought the next one would be interesting to you.
670.
670. Now think about the tyres on your car are what? 205, 55?
255, 35, 19.
255, 35, 19s. Compare it to an F1 one, which is a 405, 670 R13 on the rear and a 305, 670 R13 on the front, which is absolutely incredible. And of course, it does have a lot of stopping power on the Brembo brakes. Drivers for this. Everyone knows the drivers, Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen, the Iceman himself.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the history. Well, in the early races this year, they were doing quite well, weren't they? I mean, a lot of podium finishes, and then sort of after about 6-7 races, it started to it started going towards 5th and 6th places, and then
it just didn't catch on as much as they wanted to. I mean, it won the season opener in Australia.
Yeah.
It won the Australian Grand Prix. You had the Monaco Grand Prix. It won a Hungarian Grand Prix. Bahrain, which was the second race of the season, it won that. So it started off strong, and then it won the Brazilian Grand Prix, which was the second to last race of the season.
I think this is where, I mean, in the middle middle part.
The middle part, it just fell away.
Yeah, it's where it cost.
And they had a nightmare in the Asia races. Singapore, Sebastian Vettel hit Max Verstappen, who hit Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah,
they could have won that race.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they just took out both Ferraris.
Yeah.
You know, one took the other out. Obviously not intentional, but there you go. So yeah, I think this car could have done better than it did.
I do wonder if there was any changes that made them lose or something, or the other team probably.
I think it was just that the car is a lot shorter. If you look at the size of the car, it's not a very long car. I think it's 3.76 meters long, which seems long, but I think the Mercedes is a longer car, which means on the faster, more sweeping tracks, the Mercedes is more powerful. But on the shorter tracks, or the tracks that have more turns and sharper turns, the Ferrari had the advantage. Unfortunately, the track where it should have had the most advantage, Singapore, is the track where both of them crashed out at turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the races that they won, and it follows your sort of what you said right now about the how where they should be winning, and it's a shame really, but because
that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully next season.
Next season should be a lot better. Of course, both drivers are still there.
Yeah.
But now let's go on to, for the next few minutes, just talk about what it's like in Assetto Corsa, as it is. Modelling, texturing, sounds, and physics. So, obviously, modelling to start with, it's bang on.
It is.
And it's an Italian company. They've got strong ties with Ferrari. Ferrari Pack, they released a whole bunch of Ferraris. Every single one of them absolutely modelled to perfection. It's no different.
Internal and externally, it looks really well. It looks really well built, really, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it's absolutely. I think it's absolutely perfectly done. It lights up correctly. The DRS light on the steering wheel lights up correctly. You know, everything is there, and the amount of controls. Don't worry about me going off. It was difficult to get a handle on this car. It really was. I'll get back to the physics in a moment, but you're completely right on the textures. It comes in 3 liveries. We've got Sebastian Vettel's number 5. Kimi Raikkonen's number 7, which is what I'm driving, and then a blank livery. And of course, you could always use that blank livery to add your own numbers to it. So, I don't know, what numbers would you add to?
17.
17 for you?
Probably 7.
It's Kimi Raikkonen's doing that.
Yeah, you got that one.
Just leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. But,
88?
yeah.
88?
Why 88?
No, he's not going to take 88. I'd take 23.
Bingo? No.
I'd take 23. 23 is my number. But it's, you know, they've got their liveries and everything's quite high res there. You can actually see in the replay box how high res the actual model and the textures are on it. So I'm very, very happy about that. Sounds wise, it's very accurate.
It's accurate.
It's very, very accurate.
Apart from my gripe with, but that's
the sound separate.
That's separate. But yeah, it's modelled quite well.
It's actually very accurate. I'm surprised at the backfire on the overrun, going into corners and stuff, and you could hear it on the. That backfire did actually surprise me because it's not something you hear often in Formula 1 because of the external cameras. But when you're driving the car, you hear it a lot louder than I thought it would be.
I thought you would hear them quite often because obviously it being turbocharged, you would get a lot of backfire.
Yeah, but what I mean is on external cameras and watching it on TV, it's a lot quieter. The engines are quite quiet themselves, so the backfire is quiet. But in the car, it seems to resonate a lot more, and it felt quite nice.
That makes sense, though, really.
Yeah, in a sense, that does make a lot of sense.
Closer feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And last but not least, we can go on to physics. Physics-wise, now, the thing with this car was, obviously, we've seen the aerodynamic changes that happened this year. The cars look so much better than they have since, well, I'd say since maybe 2009.
Yeah. Remember the anteater nose?
Oh, 2014, the anteater nose. We reviewed one of the cars.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that was horrible. I mean, they still have a bit of a nose on it, but the actual shape, the design of the cars are wider, the rear wing lower and swept back. It really is nice, and it pushes the car into the ground, and that really was on the physics.
Has this all been changed, obviously, due to the new aerodynamic rules?
Yeah, exactly. It was all those aerodynamic rules, and I tell you what, they were designed to make it the fastest cars ever. And I have a bit of a gripe with this about it being the fastest car ever, because even though they broke a number of records, I still don't think this is the fastest car ever. I still think the Ferrari F2004 is faster than this.
They're comparing this one to all
F1 cars in history, and this is supposed to be the fastest ever. And yes, it was very quick. In fact, these cars were, in qualifying trim, they were as fast as the 2004 cars. And compared to, even in the race, you were looking at these cars being 3 seconds a lap faster than last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a big change.
But in the overall time,
it was still fast, but I still think the 2004 cars have something on them. The thing about these cars was, because of the aerodynamic regulations, they stuck to the ground, especially in higher speed corners. In higher speed corners, it's less mechanical grip, more aero grip.
Yeah.
These cars just, you could go flat out through maggots and Beckett's in these cars, which is something I have not been able to do in a Formula 1 car since 2009. I have not been able to do that. It was different. It was very, very different. Highly impressed with that myself. I'll be honest, I was highly impressed with it. But it felt a lot harder to drive the car, even though it was stuck to the ground. In second gear, coming out of corners, because there's not that much on the aero grip at those speeds, it slipped a bit. And you saw me on occasion go off when it just suddenly caught.
Really, overall, it's pretty well done though.
I think it's really well done. As a car, as a Formula 1 car, barring the engine, I give this car, I'd say the car is actually about a 9 out of, maybe an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
And that's what I would give the car. As an official car for Assetto Corsa, they have got it bang on right.
Yeah.
I honestly, with all the modes, there are all these buttons you can press. You may see at the top of the screen, you're changing modes from different battery modes, engine modes, charge modes. It's a 10 out of 10 car for Assetto Corsa. They have done it so well.
I mean, I'm looking at everything, taking everything into account.
Yeah.
I'd probably give this a 9.
You're giving,
I'd give it probably an 8.8 out of 10.
8 points. So we're looking between 8, almost 9 and 10. So it is a really well done car, and I think that's where we're going to end that for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think, thumbs up for these two, and do support me on Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below. Your support will be massively, massively appreciated. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys, or we will see you guys next time in Assetto Corsa.